What?
What's up, young and hungry?
We are so excited for this new episode. As you can tell, we have on merch. Oh my goodness. Not yet out, but it's coming soon. So stay on the lookout. We are so excited to share this journey and for you guys to walk on it with us. Um, this episode is called Worshiping Fearlessly. So let's get into it.
Yeah. Here's a question. So, what does worshiping fearlessly mean to y'all? All right. So, I want to answer this. I think worshiping fearlessly means it's just not caring what other people think about you. It's like just keep on worshiping hard, and not only worshiping at church, worshiping at your home, worshiping even at your schools. Like there's plenty of ways to worship, and if we just think worshiping at church is okay, which is it's okay, but like I feel like we can do way more than just worshiping at church. So worshiping at church, school, homes, everywhere. I feel like that's one of the biggest definitions of worshiping fearlessly.
And for me, I totally agree with that. But also, like, worship is just not a form of raising your hands. It's also just a form of like praying and speaking to God and actually taking in the words that you're singing and what they mean to you. So I think worshiping fearlessly is like worship without hesitation, worship without thinking of, the next person. Worship like at home, worship at your school, worship in the middle of the street. Like, do what you have to do in order to have a conversation between you and God, and understand the words that you're singing.
Yeah, yeah. For me, like when I think of like worshiping fearlessly, when I think of like that phrase, I'm just like, it means like fully surrendering to God, like not caring what other people think. Your work, it's like you don't care what people think of you. You just worship Him anywhere because He deserves every single bit of praise and worship you can give Him. But like when you're worshiping fearlessly, that means like you're giving it your all. You're surrendering everything to Him, and you're just like giving it to Him and not holding anything back. That's what it gives to me.
That's good. So I know I'm guilty of this, but have you guys ever like stopped your worship because of fear of judgment of the next person, or because like someone beside you or in front of you or behind you has lowered their hands and you're the only person in the room with your hands held high and surrendering to God? Have you ever like stopped your worship because of that?
I've done that like so, and I've grown with this, but like I used to do this all the time just because like I didn't want to be judged by others, like you said. But like I remember one time I was like at Momentum, we would be like worshiping and stuff. Everybody would be worshiping, and then all of a sudden I would lift up my hands, and then I would look around. It's like nobody else has their hands up, and so I'm like, okay, so we can either put our hands down, and not be judged, and whatever, and just be chill, or we can keep our hands up. And then so I just always kept my hands down because I didn't want to be judged by others. But I feel like that's not what worshiping fearlessly means. Is worshiping fearlessly is not caring what other people think about you. Even no matter what the circumstance is, worshiping fearlessly means worshiping fearlessly, literally, like not caring who's around, what they're saying, just worshiping God just because you love him so much. So yeah.
Great example of worshiping fearlessly is Boston Sam's, man. Like he will be on
Yes, my
in
boy.
church front row, like praising the Lord, giving it his all, his whole heart. And you would see like people just like looking at him like that's what worshiping fearlessly to that's what when I think of that, that's who I think of. And I commend him and applaud him for that because he doesn't care what the world thinks, what the next person thinks, but he has an intimate relationship with his father and he's speaking to his father and he's meaning the words that he's saying. So like a great example, Boston. Boston, man. Boston.
Yeah, for me, like, because, in Momentum, I'm like the one on stage singing. And so it can, like, it can get awkward when, like, either like you don't know the song or, like, it's a song people don't really like. And so people, just aren't getting into the song or, they're scared to raise their hands. And so you can, when you're leading on stage, it can be like, awkward. It's like, okay, the crowd doesn't like this, but like, I'm worshiping God. When I'm on stage and like people aren't getting into it, or something like that, like hands aren't lifted or something like that. In that case, I just
I have to remind myself like this is not for the crowd. I'm not supposed to, I'm not trying to sound like I want to sound good, of course, but like I'm on this stage to lead people, I'm trying to help them, get into the song. And so like just surrendering it all to him, giving it my all when I'm leading the song, that's what I think of when I'm worshiping fearlessly, because I just want to give it my all, because I'm not trying to, get approval of the person on stage or the people in the crowd, but I just want, God to be proud of me that, leaving that stage knowing that I left it all for God. Like that was all for God.
Right.
And that's what, like, when I think of that, I think of just, giving it my all, like not holding anything back, not holding it back because, you're afraid of what people might think of you. Like at this point, I don't care what you think of me. I'm going to worship God because, he deserves every single bit of it.
Yeah.
Right.
And like in that moment, I don't know, cut that out.
No, don't cut it out.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I only had 2 questions on mine. Do y'all have any more questions on yours?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So what is the difference between praise and worship?
What is the difference?
I think
I don't know about that. Like, what is the
I
difference?
think praise is more of like praise is like giving God praise. But worship is like when you're surrendering. Like it's when you have 2 hands. Like it's like you are surrendering everything that you're feeling, everything that you're going through, everything that's in your mind. You're surrendering it up to God. Like that's worship. Like worship is on your hands and feet and thinking like you're at the hands and feet of Jesus. Like worship is giving Him all of the things that you're going through. I think that's how I know that like see the difference.
I know you said this earlier, Todd, but like when we think of praise, we think of like all the upbeat songs, all the songs you jump to, you clap
Yeah.
to, and like you're just like that's that moment. I don't know what's another word for praise. Like I just like you just give them praise, like you just are like
Please
give them praise, like like it gets you through those moments that are tough. And I feel like when you're worshiping, it's like you and him. Like
Yeah.
it's just fully you and God. And so you're surrendering, like Talia said, everything to him. You're giving it all to him, all the circumstances you might be going through, and you're just giving it to him. Like that's full on surrender. Like when I think of praise. I mean worship.
Yeah. I think praise is like, I feel like praise and worship are like 2 different like worships or 2 different types of worships, because it's like praise I feel like you do to get happy, to become more happy in a way, but also like that's the same thing with worship. You after worship is like, I know for me, like I'll automatically feel happy, more happier. But it's like, I don't know, praise is like, it just makes me feel more happy because it's like more upbeat, I feel. But worship, I don't know.
After worshiping, like
different.
if you have a hard day, like I know if I had a hard day, but you go to church your Wednesday night, and then like you do your praise and worship song, your praise and worships, and then like you do that worship song, and you feel like relieved.
Yeah.
And then I love when you go back into a praise song and you just dance it out, and then you leave feeling like great.
Yeah.
When I think of worship, I think of my favorite word in the Bible is suddenly. Only because like suddenly means like that God is about to do something. Like God is about to change any and everything in less than, what we can imagine. And the verse Acts, what did I say? Acts 16, 25, 26. It says about midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the other prisoners were listening to them. Here he goes. Suddenly, there was such a violent earthquake, and the foundations of the prison were shaken. At once, all the prison doors flew open, and everyone's chains came loose. So while they were singing hymns, to God, I think that's when they were worshiping. But when those chains fell off and came off, and the prison doors opened, that's when they were praising. Like worshiping is when you're in the middle of something, like you're in the middle of a storm or something, and you're going through something. So you're worshiping God because you're giving your all to Him. But when you're praising is you're praising Him for what He did in your life. You're praising Him for how He solved that problem of whatever you were going through. You're praising Him for being the great Father that He is. So that's why, like, I don't know.
I like that description.
So like praising, you're saying, is like kind of like a victory kind of way. Like this is my victory song. Like I got like worshiping is like in the process of you getting
Yeah,
something, and
yeah.
praise is at the end of the process
It's,
when you got it, and now you're excited and happy, and yeah, that kind
yeah,
of makes sense. Good job.
In this another book we were reading, there was a statement that I liked because it kind of goes along with what you were saying about the worshiping part. And I liked how it says, thanking God before you see results shows him that you wholeheartedly believe in the vision he has given you and that you are going to give it everything you've got.
yeah,
And like when you're in a situation, but you're still worshiping him and you're still praising him, you're giving it all to him. That you're like, that's a way of you already thanking him because you
right.
believe wholeheartedly, you believe with everything in your heart that he's going to come through for you, that
Yeah,
you know in your heart that he will come through for you.
Yeah.
He'll
yeah.
never leave you nor forsake you. And
Mhm.
so, when you praise and worship, that's your way of thanking God before you can even see it. You're getting through that time,
Yeah.
that obstacle you're going through. And so I like how you said, like, when you're worshiping, like, that's your way of thanking him. And then when you praise, you're also thanking him for what what he got you through.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
that makes a lot of sense. It makes perfect sense because, like you said, you're thanking him for what you can't see yet, and you're praising him for what you see. Like it's as simple as praise and worship. It's just thanking God. It's surrendering. It's an intimate moment between you and him, and it's saying, okay, I'm giving you my all. Like, not, I don't care about the people around me. I don't care about the people in front of me or beside me or on stage. I'm giving you my all because you are the one who are listening to the words that I'm saying. So I think that's like the takeaway from it.
So here's another question. Can worship change your focus?
For sure. I
When
think
you're
it probably can, because it's like I feel like in certain stages that we're in, it's like we feel like, for me, I've gone through like certain stages of my life where it's just like, man, I'm going through a lot, and it may seem like little, but little things, like, I don't know why they get to me, but they do. And it's like I'll go through a whole bunch of stuff and I'll be really upset and like just see all the bad and stuff, the bad in my life, just see all that. But then like when I worship, it just like changes how I think, changes like how I
Changes
act,
your perspective.
changes my perspective of just the way I'm thinking at that point. And it's like, man, that's all I need was worship. And it's like that's how you feel. Like I feel like that's how everybody is after they like finish worshiping. They're like, man, I just feel like relief. Like weight has been lifted. It's like, man,
Definitely.
you feel great.
I remember this time, I get very sad, but I remember this time. It was late at night, and like it was just late at night, and I heard my mom calling my name. Who was that? I'm sorry. I'm gonna cut you off. It was late at night, and I heard my mom calling my name, and I was like, "Why she call my name?" It's like late at night. So I go in there, and I try to go and see like what's wrong, like if she needs anything or whatever. And she was like, yeah, I can't like breathe and I can't move and I can't like. So I was like, okay, I'm going to call 911. So I call 911, got the ambulance on the way. I'm still on the phone with them. They're asking me like a million questions that I don't know the answer to. So I'm just like, God, like, give me the words to say. So after that, I answered the questions perfectly. I called my grandmother and she was on her way, but she wasn't there yet. So like I'm sitting here with this lady who's my mom. I'm saying this lady, but I'm sitting here with my mom and she's like in pain and like can't move and can't breathe. So I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Like, what am I supposed to do? And so I played this Maverick City song, He's Not Done With Me Yet. I played that song and I said, God, let your will be done in her life. That's all I said. So I said, and the ambulance came like 5 minutes after, and I was like, if you were ready for her to go, like take her. Like it wasn't necessarily of a okay. I don't. Who wants their like mom to like die? But like if that is what God wanted, like if that was His plan, like I was ready to give Him that. So like worshiping and like praising Him and like being true to that it's like what I said in that moment. I played that song and I said what I said, and she came home that day. Like that night, she came home. Like that's how like powerful like what you say and what you speak and how you worship is, because it took just those simple words for something miraculous like that to happen. So
I like that, Talia. Praise
so
and worship got you through that.
it did. It did. Because I was like, what am I supposed to do? I was like 14. Imagine. Oh no. But yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That kind of goes into like how people say like worship can be used as a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Like how you were saying earlier, how like you can use that worship as your weapon. Like it can get you through anything.
Yeah.
Like you're going through an obstacle, that obstacle is your problem, you know, like if you're in a war or whatever, that obstacle is the other team. You're facing that problem. But your weapon is your worship and, you know, the word. And you can use that as your weapon and you can get through anything with those things. You know what I'm talking about? Like it can get you through tough times like you just had. You know what I'm saying?
You remember that speaker at Axis? He was saying something about a sword. I can't remember exactly what he was saying, but
Praise break. I remember that.
you know what I'm talking. I remember like no, praise,
That's not what she's talking about.
praise break was Manny Arango, or how you say his last name. I'm sorry if he not watching this, but still, I wish. No, there's this man at Axis, and he was saying like how like a soldier. Okay, a soldier has a shield and a knife. So we're not soldiers, we're people. So we have this, our Bible, we have our worship, and we have our praise and our prayer. That's our weapons. That's the weapons that we use to get us throughout life, you know? So like when you say can worship be used as a weapon, I feel like when you're going through something, you're going through a battle, you're fighting a battle, you worshiping and praising God can be used to defeat whatever that you're going through, because God is listening to you and He's with you. So when you're praying and you're worshiping and you're reading your Bible and you're speaking against whatever that you're going through, it can be used as a weapon.
Yeah.
I feel like it goes back with what you were saying about just thanking God. Thanking, like, what was it? It was saying, like, thanking
like
God.
you're thanking God before you even see the results.
Yeah, and it's like, I feel like that's straight up, like, an advantage of, like, you know, just feeling better in general, because it's like, when we go through our obstacles, we were praising. And so when we praise, it's like, I don't care what's happening in my life right now. I don't care how I'm feeling or who people, little stop, but, or people who are acting like, just people just being mean to me. It doesn't matter, like, what's going on, that I'm still going to praise you and I'm still going to worship God. You know what I'm saying? It's like
you're giving him your all, even though you don't see the outcome yet, but you're giving him your all. You're worshiping him fearlessly because you know that the outcome is going to be what God has for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. So the output of this is just like worshiping, you know, through the storm and, you know, continuing to praise and worship him no matter what you're going through or how you feel in the moment.
Because praise and worship can get you through anything.
Yeah. So we'll see you guys next month. Next episode coming out soon. Merch coming out soon. There's a lot to look forward to.
I'm excited to do merch too.
Yeah. Bye.
Love you guys.